Welcome back again to Share with Charlotte podcast, where I am the creator and host and where emphasis is placed on finding balance in relationships. I thank you for tuning in again. And like always, I like to go back and recapture the last episode, which is finding balance in relationship, which is the theme of my podcast. And I want to speak a little bit on that before I dive into this particular new episode that we're going to get into in just a minute. And that is finding balance in relationship is all about how you love, but it's about how you love yourself. So if you have not found the time to listen or to review that particular episode, I encourage you to do so simply because it's how you love you. And everything starts with you, and how you love you determines how you love other people, how you view life, how you love things. Just it really is the essence and the foundation and the core also of how you love. And so it starts with you. So, and if you know of anybody that can benefit from that particular episode, please share, send it out, fan it out, because there's a lot of people who really are struggling with loving themselves. And if they're struggling with loving themselves, they're struggling with loving anything and anyone else. So thank you for that. And I want to say I am particularly really excited and happy about this particular episode because we have a special guest. Her name is Erica Ferguson, and I am happy and truly blessed to have her as part of this particular episode simply because her story is so remarkable. Her story entails so many highs and lows in her life, and one that was just so persistent, one with such resilience and just the tenacity of just not giving up and just so determined to fulfill her passion and her purpose. And I think anyone out there who are afraid to take that faith walk, that leap, you defeat yourself even before you start by giving up. And so don't allow that to be your failure because you choose not to start what your purpose and your passion is. And so I just appreciate Erica coming on to share her journey, her story, her testimonial. But what I did want to emphasize before I bring her on, and that is things about her, and that being she is um, right now she's in where she's helping people in terms of as a private coach, sales coach, entrepreneur coach, and also a leadership coach. So anyone out there that's looking to start business or whatever and think you have to be out there on your own, you don't have the support or the guidance, because anytime you start something new, it is something different. And sometimes we're intimidated about what's different. But that's what she actually so good at because she learned from experience, her own experience in life. So what better way to be knowledgeable than to experience yourself? So on that note, why don't we bring in Erica Ferguson, and we're just so thankful to have her. Thank you. Thank you. I was looking for you. So great. So great to have you. I really
Great to
appreciate that.
be
Thanks
here.
again for being a part of this episode. I've gave already a little history of, your highs, your lows, a little bit about that, but just being thankful that you embraced us with your presence in terms of being here. But what you did share with me was just so fascinating with your story and your journey. And so I would like you at least tell us something first about yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so very much, Charlotte, for including me in and your series of really helping people to improve upon themselves, encourage them, comfort them, and let them know that while there's highs and lows, there's always can be good endings when you apply yourself. So thank you so very much for having that opportunity. Um, I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas, but I spent the last
Okay.
40 years um, plus in the Northeast, in New York and New Jersey. I went there to go to school and stayed, and eventually started my career in New York. And I live in Dallas, Texas now, where I moved. I have family here, wanted to be closer to family, but I started my business career and had family, got married, everything in the Northeast, and now I'm here in Texas. So it's
How you
been,
enjoy Texas?
I do enjoy Texas. I always knew I was going to retire down south. I have
Okay.
things about the Northeast. I know
Mhm.
the one I am today is because of what I experienced in the Northeast, but I always knew that I would come back to the South because of the people, the kindness, the weather
Yeah,
helps a lot. So
yeah.
I'm enjoying it.
Good, good. I know we was talking to Erica. Um, your like I said, and I was telling the people that were listening earlier before I brought you on, your journey has just been so fascinating to me because a lot of people in your situation really would have given up. You was with the Fortune 500 company, you know, you was on top of your game. You
Mhm.
literally took a leap of faith and a faith walk. And a lot of people would like, wow, she did that, or that was crazy. But it's not crazy when you believe in what God has for you. And so
Absolutely.
I just admired that as part of it. Can you just share some of that with us, please?
Yeah. I mean, here we are right now when in the presidential election, and we've been talking a lot about Kamala
Mhm.
Harris and being one of uh, the one, being like the only one, being the
Mhm.
first, actually the first. And I would say that being the first a lot has really where a lot of my career have been some of the highs and lows when you are the first.
Mhm.
Uh, and I started my career in retail at one of the high-end stores right on Lexington Avenue. If you've been in New York, it's called Bloomingdale's.
Wow.
And I probably really was my first place where I experienced some one of my highs. I was managing one of the largest, the second largest department, fashion accessories. And there was an opportunity to move up. And I just knew that no one else knew how to manage that large area. It was going to be me, but it didn't happen. And that was my first low. And I would say that also that was a learning experience because my leadership um, characteristics started there. I didn't get down. I didn't badmouth the people because I should
Mhm.
have had.
Mhm.
They didn't even tell me that I wasn't going to get it. I heard about it from the woman who
Wow.
did, and I stayed there until another opportunity came. And there was a big learning experience from that. And then I went into sales, talking about highs and lows. I'm originally from the South. I said I was from Arkansas. Now,
Mhm.
Southern women, we kind of talk to not be too aggressive, but
Mhm.
aggressive quietly. Well,
Yeah.
that's hard when you're selling because selling is nothing but kind of it be asking. And I was not taught to ask. I was taught to wait to be asked. And
Mm.
I had to learn how to ask for the owner, ask questions, ask for the signature, ask for the money.
Mhm.
And that was, and sales is a lot of highs and lows. And when you're not making your number, how do you stay on top of it? How do you stay in there? When someone says no to you, how do you stay in there? Moving into the management, it was really, tough. There were times when I didn't make my number and, they could have easily, sometimes if you don't hit your number, they'll let you go. But
Mhm.
through all of these highs and lows, and I've had many highs, I was one of the top general sales manager, one trips to Paris, one trips to South Africa. I've also had tough times when I was like, Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And God was there for me and having the patience and sticking it out. Um, and sometimes, I relied a lot on myself. And I now, as I mature, realize how God was so patient with me to
Yes.
let me keep going down that road thinking I could pull the mountain when
Mhm.
really, when I realized I couldn't, and I go to Him, He was right there,
Right there.
right
Yeah.
there. And once I called on Him and relied on Him, things always begin to go into, work out. And sometimes they didn't work out the way I thought they should. When I was a little girl, I don't know if you ever heard older people say, God will give you what you ask for.
Yeah.
God will give you what you, right.
Yeah.
I was for this promotion and things weren't coming through, and I was looking for something, but God gave me actually something better. I went from commuting 40 minutes from my house, paying $300 a month for parking, to God gave me not the job I was asking for, but the promotion to for a job that was 20 minutes from my house.
Wow.
No paying for parking, easy commute. And at the time, my husband was very ill, and that made it easier. So, yeah, I've gone through some highs and some lows, which is one of the reasons why I went into coaching, where I help businesses. I also started my own business, and I remember I purchased this business in July 2008, not knowing that we were going into a recession in September 2008. I shelled all this money for this business, only to find out that things were changing. But we survived for 6 years, did more than survive. We did well. We were named one of the top tea and coffee cafes in Inglewood, New Jersey.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it was, but it was only through God that I survived.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know timing is everything. It always is timing, but you didn't see that coming. You didn't see the recession, but you felt like that was your time. But even then, God still covered you. I mean, it's just amazing. And I was just thinking too what you said. You was praying for one thing, but God gave you something else. And that's really because He always know what you need. We look at a whole lot of what we think we need or things that we want, but God truly knows your needs. And He already was putting things in place that He knew would be a better fit for you. And I love that. I just love how God steps in, and
Absolutely.
just say, yeah, and you just pray your little heart out. He already got it worked out, something else, something better.
I'm telling you. And that cafe, being that we were in a recession, trying to, stand out and bring people into the cafe. When you are on Main Street, you are relying on foot traffic. And if there's a recession, there's less foot traffic because there's less people buying because they don't have the money to be, or they are being very conservative. So I was pulling out all the marketing and sales stops to bring people in, on top of, when you own your own business, which I had learned, you have equipment that fail, you have people who don't show up, all sorts of things happen every single day. Number one, every time I put that key into that lock and opened up the business, God let me know you are not in control.
There you go.
And I had to learn that. I must have said so many times, one of my workers who opened the cafe with me every morning, I would constantly, when I was overwhelmed by some of the challenges, I would say, I'm just going to give it to God. I'm just going to give it to God. Something else will come up. I'm just going to give it to God. Another day, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to give it to God. Well, I must have said that so many times that one day He said, yeah, give it to Him.
Yeah, He wants you to give it to Him. Yeah.
I get my work, and I stopped, and I realized I started laughing because He had heard me say, I'm just going to give it to God. I'm just going to give it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to give it to Him. And that has a lot to do with my how I've gotten through the ups and downs. I'm not going to tell you I don't touch it. I don't try to make it, do it myself. But I am so grateful that I've learned through the ups and downs that you give it to God.
Yeah.
He answer, not me.
Yeah. I use that a lot too. I really do. And I do that because it releases me from any and all of it. It's because I'm giving it to Him. It's no longer mine. Because we'll stay in something and we'll be trying to fix something, or you're trying to find some solution to it, but when you give it to him, it free you. It free you to just allow him to carry it. And you trust whatever the outcome. I mean, I'm talking about whatever the outcome. Because when
Yes.
you give it to him, it's not about, Lord, I want it this way or that way. No, I'm trusting you totally. So whatever the outcome is, I trust you. And so I live by that, because there is so much in life that's so far beyond what we can do or capable of even doing. Life would just take you to places that is no way humanly possible that you can fix something, but you gotta give it to God. I mean, you gotta give it to him. And I'm talking about when you give it, truly give it to him. I don't mean like giving little pieces. No, you give it all to him.
All to them.
You give it all to him. Yes. So I
Yes.
love that you live by that. Yes.
I live by, but as you were talking, I was thinking about when I first did that.
Mhm.
That's not easy.
I know. I
let's,
know.
your listeners to know, hey, have faith, give it to
Yeah.
God. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell you the first time when I really, and it was when I was in business and working on something and I was trying to really bring this manager on board, and
Mhm.
two other people were competing for this guy. He was
Mhm.
supposed to be a top salesman, and we both wanted him. And I kept praying for it, but I remember when I had to stop letting fear,
Mhm.
and I had to really say, okay, God, I want this guy, but I could not play the world's game. I
Yes.
stopped in the middle of it. I
Mhm.
was praying, but I was still manipulating, playing the world's game, how you do it in business. And that means you're a little cutthroat.
Mhm.
Uh, and I stopped in the middle of that and put down my cutthroat tools and
Mhm.
really gave it to God. And I just want to let listeners know that it's easy to say, but when you can't have fear.
Yeah.
You give it because you're saying, I'm not trusting the world. I'm not
Yes.
trusting myself, Lord. I'm
Yes.
trusting you. And
Yes.
that can be a little nail biting.
Yes. Yes. I
But
know. And it
once,
and it can be. Yeah. Because we're anxious by nature. And especially if God taking too long. I haven't seen no results yet, Lord. I mean, so what are you really doing? Or it's something you think needs to be fixed now, but he's still holding on to it. And we are people and creatures who just want to control anyway. That's our nature, to want
Mhm.
to control something. That's who we are. And you're right, but to surrender it all to him is huge and a big deal, and it is big to do. But it's all part of the faith walk. It's all part of believing. And I've just had some things in life myself where I literally have had to do that. And you're right, it's you trying to do all you can first until you realize you can't. That's when you know it don't matter what you do or how you do it or how much you do, it ain't gonna happen. So and the only thing left, honestly, it's almost like we go to him because it's the last thing. I don't try everything. I don't try to manipulate this or do this. But you my last hope, Lord. So now I'm gonna just give it to you because I know nothing else. But I do believe in this though too, Erica, and I do believe that you have to at least make the effort because God want to also see work. You at least make the effort because it's so easy to just lay down and just roll. If you're just going to do that and just say and not put forth work. Work is all part of the journey, and it's
Absolutely.
work is also part of your faith walk. It's the work. It's work, but it's also work with Him working with you, and being a part of what you do. But even if it doesn't go the way you think, because God loves to just throw stuff at you because He's always testing you. He's always testing you. And the thing is to realize when those tests actually in front of you and that you truly try to work the test, do the test. Don't just sit and just look at the test. God wants you to actually work the test because you're being tested. it's all part of the journey. So I
Absolutely.
think with your story, when you were sharing with me, you know, just your resilience and just, like I said, your tenacity when I was sharing about you. And I'm just saying you were just so determined. You worn these different hats because you're just saying like, no, Lord, this one didn't, but this one might. I'm just gonna keep this journey going. I'm not gonna fail by not continue to try.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And I appreciate that about you. I really do.
thank you. Absolutely. I mean, where I am right now, yes, I've been through the corporate world, then I opened my own business. And right before the pandemic, my last position, I was VP of national sales for this medical marketing
Mm,
firm. And right when the pandemic and not it well started when physicians weren't letting salespeople into their offices, that impacted my career because I
well,
was laid off.
yeah.
And so here I am, now laid off. My husband was ill at the time, was not COVID, but he was suffering from Parkinson's and dementia.
Mm,
And so here I had this career gone, working gone, now
mm,
become a full-time caregiver. And during the pandemic, my husband died, not died of complications of his Parkinson's.
so
And thank you. And I was now looking at, here I go again, reinventing myself,
mhm.
because I have reinvented myself, from the highs, from the lows, from here, from there, sold my business, started back. Now I was looking at reinventing myself, and I thought at first I was going to go back into business and work, but actually I was led to becoming a coach,
Mm,
sharing my entrepreneurial experiences and how do you start a business as a business founder? How do you do that? How do you really, you know, handle being in the business world?
mhm.
And deal with some of the highs and lows. What were some of the techniques of being a successful? How do you build a successful sales team? And
Gotcha.
so I went back and I got my certification. I'm not one of these coaches that just online say I'm a coach. I
Yeah.
actually went back and got and received my certification, and started another career. And there was fear in that, like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't have that weekly check coming in again.
Right.
I go back. Am I too old to do that? Am I too old to start all over again?
Mhm.
Am I too old to get out there? How do I get the people? How do I find people? How do I
Mhm.
sell myself? All of that. And so it never stops. You putting on a new hat and
That's
looking for
right.
new ways to reinvent yourself, your career,
Mm.
your personal life. You pick yourself up and you start all over again.
I love you said that because I use that word, that term reinvent. In one of my episodes recently because that's really what you're doing. You're reinventing yourself. And I'm glad you mentioned about the age. I know a lot of people say, well, I just want to retire. Yeah, but it's to retire and do what? Life doesn't just stop just because you retire, and you're never really too old to, as long as God give you life and you have that in you to where your mind is still good, you can always recreate. Um, but I know even with this podcast, I'm in my 60s, 66 when I took off and God said, yeah, you're gonna do this. So that's reinventing myself. But don't put a cap on. I'm
Right.
too old or it's too late for me because it's only too late for you if you choose it to be too late because that's something that you've adapted within yourself. But you're not too late, providing you still can. As long as you can, it's never such thing as it's too late because you still. It's a matter of do you want to or will you?
Right.
That's the thing. And even people a lot of times who want to still won't because of intimidation, the change, the newness, or just not believing they can, but they're capable, but you don't know your capability until you make the effort. You'll never know what you can do without trying.
Right.
You never know what that look
You
like.
never know. And so I encourage people, if they want to start a business, I'm always here to help people understand the beginning is the most important. So many
Right.
times people want to start a business and go, oh, I got this cool name. This is the name of my business, and
Yeah.
this is it. And that's great. You have a nice, great, good name. Maybe you
Yeah.
find out the URL is available, the .com is available, but the amount of time that you have to spend on developing your idea is one of the most important parts of starting a new business. And so as we look at ways to reinvent ourselves, it can be exciting, but the journey of discovering what you should do and if it's going to work is very, very important.
Very, very
And one
important.
of the things I do, people get to that stage, help them through that founding stage. Hey, I've got this great idea. Okay, let's take a look at how do you develop that idea?
Mhm.
How do you look at your competition? How do you look at the location? Are you sure that this product or service is needed? 34% of businesses fail because the founder, people find out that there's really no market, a good market to make money in that product or service. And so it's really critical, the beginning times. And since, I have the amount of work I did to when I started my business, if I hadn't done that, when the recession hit, I would have lost everything. But we were open for over 6 years before I sold it. And it was because of the good, the foundation that we started with. So we
That's
want
good.
to look at reinventing yourself, but
Oh,
how to
absolutely. But what I like what you said though, and you just said, just because it's a good idea, but basically, but it is still sellable within the market. And every good idea isn't a good business. It just could be a good idea, but timing a lot of time is so critical. It may not be what's conducive for this time, but maybe 5 years from now, maybe it will be. But if you're starting something, like you said, you got to do your homework. You got to do your research. You gotta know the market. It's more to it than just an idea. You got to run with more than just and just like excited about the idea, but it's everything beyond the idea is where the work truly starts. But I do like the fact that you're making yourself readily available. And there's people like you though, Erica, that can help, that can assist, that can help guide people in because a lot of people have never done a business before. And so you've done more than one business. And so you know the highs and low, you know what to do and what not to do. And they don't have to reinvent the wheel because you've done it. But you can use that knowledge that you have to help the people who are listening, who want to take that next step and branch out into their own entrepreneurship and want to be their own boss or their own person in more control of what they do. You can do that. I truly love that you have that. I don't have that. That's not my gift. God didn't give that to me. He gave that to you. He didn't get it. Uh, but there's definitely a need for people like you though, because there's a lot of people who really just don't know.
now
And
they don't.
yeah, and it gives them the courage to say maybe I can because there's somebody I can go to. Just like anything else, you need a to go to person that can just help you along your journey.
Absolutely. And I think as people of color, we should help each other. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about all my success, and but I will tell you that when I'm coming out of college and I went for my interview at a Dun and Bradstreet company, this black man manager interviewed me, and he said to me at the end of the interview, you know what? I think you could do this job. I think you would be good, but I'm a little disappointed that you didn't do more research on the company. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I'm going to bring you back to meet the general manager. I
Mm-hmm.
suggest you do some more research on the company. And I like to tell this story to young people sometimes because back in that day, we didn't have laptops or computers at home.
Exactly.
You had to go to the library to
Mm-hmm.
do the research on something. And that weekend, there was a big party, and I could have chose to go to the party or go to the library.
Yeah.
And I chose to go to the library and do the research. And I went on that interview and I got the job. And it goes back to what you were saying about doing the work.
Doing the
If
work.
I'd chosen to do the work, I wouldn't have gotten the job that really started my career. But it also goes to saying that that man took the time to tell me
Yeah.
what I needed to do. And that was a God thing too, because he sent someone to talk to me. And did I listen or did I do what I wanted? And thank God I listened. And I took that same experience. And when I was in charge of recruiting for sales people, executives across the United States, sales reps, not executives across the United States, when I ran into people, especially young people like I was that day,
Mm-hmm.
that I would, if they didn't come totally prepared, if they didn't have their resume, or if they didn't really answer the questions, completely, if they needed something else, I would, after the interview ended, I would talk to them about it
Yeah.
because I wanted them to have the opportunity to make themselves better and make that decision for themselves. And so instead of maybe some young person thinking it's the man that got them down,
Mm-hmm.
no, you got to do some homework on yourself.
Right. Yeah. It's good to do and easy to do the blame game. You know, when things don't work out the way you do, and that's all it is, just a blame game. You know, you want to blame it on something else. But I love the fact that you took those opportunities as a teachable moment. You know they weren't likely going to get this particular job, but let me help you for your next job interview that you go to better prepare you. Those are
Mhm.
teachable moments, and I speak on teachable moments all the time. Just like when you're a parent, you forever parent, so you always at that place and time on some level where there are teachable moments to your kids, whether they're adult kids, 30, 40, 50, it doesn't matter if you're still a parent. You take those moments of teachable moments and you make the best of them and you plant those seeds because you always and that's just in life in general. I mean, I'm like you on that. I'm real big on teachable moments because I always want someone to be better if I see something that I can help you with than when you stepped in and at least when you walked away you were better. And that's what you did for them. You came one way, but you were better when you left. Not because you got the job, but I'm teaching you something.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And it started with someone teaching me.
Hmm. I love
And
that.
so
What would you say to people though, who are in the business, or even thinking of going into the business or stepping out on faith?
Um, you know, first I was you pray.
Hmm.
I was still working in the business. I was still working. I was the executive director in sales, and I wasn't sure if this is what God wanted me to do. And I had finally matured enough to know that I had been living my life kind of like on my own agenda. And I learned that I needed to stop and wait for God. So I prayed and asked God, should I start this? Should I do this? I had done the homework. I really studied coffee and tea for about 10, 12 years. What was in a hobby turned it into a second career for me.
Hmm.
And but I wasn't sure if that's what I should do. And I kept asking God, is this, I pray about it and I pray about it. But as I was praying, I was also educating myself. I would go to the World Tea Expo. I was taking classes. I learned how to be a barista. I was investing in me. I was putting my money I was earning. Nobody was paying for that. I was teaching myself how to educating myself. So I really do the homework and make sure that you know the ins and outs of the business. You can be a really good chef.
Yeah.
You may be a great chef. You may really be a good cook. But what do you know about restaurants?
Yeah.
Because you're a good cook
Two
doesn't mean
different things. Two different things. Yeah.
you'll you know how to run a restaurant. You know, you may be a good mechanic. Doesn't mean you know how to run a repair shop.
Yeah.
That you may be a great seamstress and have fashion sense. Doesn't mean you know how to run a retail store. So what is retail stores about? What do you need? How many people will I need? What about the location? What does it take to start up this business? What are some of the pitfalls? If I start this, who my competitors will be? So it's the groundwork. Do the legwork and look for a mentor for somebody to help you. But one of the things that's really important is don't be afraid to invest in you.
There you go. There you go.
One of the things that I'm not going to act like I'm smart and I just learned that because I'm a coach. I actually learned it on my job because when I said I was in sales, my first sales job was in Yellow Pages. Now that's past day today, but it's online. I mean, all these businesses are online on the internet, Facebook, all of these businesses. Before then, there was a book that had these businesses in it. I would go out and sell them, try to sell them ads. But I learned a lot from those business people that they have to invest in their business. You got to invest in the business to get business.
There you go.
So you have to invest in yourself. You may be even doctors or even chiropractors, even dentists. They sometimes they get additional learning on new techniques. I run into a lot of people who they want to start a business, but they don't want to spend the money to learn what they don't know.
Exactly.
What don't you know?
I take from that too, Erica, real quick. What I also take from that is when you start putting out your own money, that means you really all in. But as long as you're not putting in your own money, you can just walk away. But when you reinvest in yourself, when you take your hard-earned money and you put it in, that makes you work harder. That makes you more committed to your purpose and your cause. That makes you really like look at things in a whole different light as opposed to somebody just
Absolutely.
either gave you money or you didn't put any money in, you know, because once you invest, that's a whole nother kind of something, once you start investing in yourself. And a lot of people will hesitate from doing that because they're really not sure if they really all in. But when you start doing that, you really are telling yourself, is I believe in what I'm doing. I'm committed to what I'm doing. I'm gonna see this thing through because I'm not putting in my own money, not just my time and the work, but I'm putting in my own money. And so that's a whole nother something. And people who really won't do that, but there's a need to do that, to me, I look at that as they're not really all in. Because you have to value what you're doing and believe in what you're doing, that it's gonna be something that you can succeed in. Not to saying it's promised, but you believe that you're gonna succeed.
Right.
So that's critical. And I thinking about again that won't do that, you have to understand that how long you really plan on being in this business because you're not really all in yet.
Right. And investing in yourself, in getting the edge. What you don't know, like I said, I did, what I didn't know, I hired somebody to help
Yeah,
me, to teach
that's
me.
investing though, because you got to pay those people.
Absolutely. And before I opened the business, like I said, I would go to trade shows. That's an investment. That's spending your money. Somebody
Yep.
pay for the entrance, pay to fly to maybe Vegas
Yep.
or Nevada, California, wherever, it is, or take some class at night, or I'm telling you, just like if you want to open a restaurant, go to restaurants and just sit there and observe. Observe what's going on. That's investing in you. Doing all of that homework. So it can be small or large. Someone, I don't have the money to put on me. Yeah, eat whatever you have. Spend it on getting to know more about that product or service.
Right. And that's the key is arm yourself with much information as possible, because that leap of faith is what it really is a leap of faith. And you're seeing something, well, you have to believe in something you hadn't seen yet, and that's what that leap of faith is. You just have to believe that it's there somewhere, and I'm going to go find it, or I'm going to see how I can help create it. But those are leap of faith. What God has for you, He really does have for you.
Absolutely.
But you have to. But He's saying, get up and go. And it's not about your age. And I really want to emphasize that, so people don't get hung up on I'm older now, so can't do that. Yes, you can.
Yes,
It has
you can.
nothing to do with your age.
No, I opened that cafe at 50.
Yeah.
Somebody at 50, like, hey, 50 in 10 or 15 more years, you're going to retire. Why would you, and I went from being a sales executive to, I standing up, washing dishes, cutting up onions, doing all of that. But your pride can't be in it. You own it. You own it. If you go from, dressing one way to, black shoes and jeans and a t-shirt every day, if that's what you're doing. So you do have to, make the changes. And age, it didn't matter. I started it at 50, sold it, and then went back into another career. And then, like I said, I started coaching just 2 years ago.
You told me this, and I want to say this. At one point, didn't you have to file for bankruptcy or something?
No, I didn't have to thank the Lord about the bankruptcy. But I will tell you that I have had a couple of financials up and down. First of all, I thought I was being smart. I never filed bankruptcy, but I will tell you, I wasn't always smart in my investments or how I spent the money. I started that business with my own money. I bought a business. I thought that I was doing the right thing. I had the money to do that. I learned after the market, we went into recession and things changed. It got tight. I used to have a group of wealthy men that came every day to my cafe every morning. By 7 o'clock, they were there, 7 a.m. I learned from those men, hearing them, they were in real estate, that they were always using somebody else's money. And I had kept putting out my own money. And that was God doing a little, hey, here's a little birdie in your ear. And I started learning, and I looked for, venture capitalism into helping me with my business, which really kept me from spending, all the money that I had made in the sales. So I had some tough times then. When I sold the business, one of the reasons I sold the business was because we were spending a lot of money. We were doing well. I learned that, you can make money, but you have to make enough money, not just to pay your bills, you got to pay yourself too.
Yes.
You can, I thank God that my husband and I were doing that, but also it was tough. And the amount of work we were putting in to get that, we did the ROI, and we figured that we could do better by selling the business and moving into something else. So I've had some financial up and down, some close calls, but thank God, never bankruptcy, but came close a couple of times.
Good. I want to just emphasize something you said, and that is pay yourself. I say this so much. I taught it to my kids. I'm always, when I'm teaching people how to manage money, because I always say this, and that is, if you can pay your bills to make somebody else rich, you have to learn to also pay you. And I don't mean you pay you because I'm taking myself shopping or I'm gonna treat myself because you're still making somebody else richer. Paying yourself means I'm setting aside something for me, just like I pay my bills. I want to still make sure there's something still left here. Pay my tithes. I've given to my water bill, my light bill, pay my credit cards, pay my car loans, blah, blah, blah. But then when you look at all of that, a lot of time what people do, unfortunately, well, I got this left over, so I'm gonna go shopping. But you're still giving it away. And so my thing to me is when you say pay yourself, it really does mean pay yourself. Like you do a credit card, anything else, you put money aside that you paid yourself, like you pay everybody else. And that's
Absolutely.
all part of just managing money and managing your finances. Because I'm telling you, Erica, most people don't know how to do that. It's so foreign to them. So they think uh, the whole concept of paying yourself, it come back to what I give myself in gifts, things that make me feel good.
Right.
Go buy
Uh,
me something so I
yeah,
feel good. That's a subtraction from your money. And I just want people to understand that, all of that is all part of how you manage. And you always should pay yourself something. I
absolutely. You
mean, I
have
don't
to.
care if it's $20, 25, but learn to pay you like you pay everybody else. Just make that part of how you manage your finance because you're worthy of being paid as well as anybody else. You're also worthy of being
Right.
paid. You earned it. So why not pay you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, again, these are all the things that which I share. I've been told very blessed because I didn't have anyone in my family that owned a business. I wasn't raised. I didn't see it from afar. Um, I was always out there on my own. Uh, my sister told me the other day, she said, well, I'm the middle child. And she said, you always fighting. And I am a fighter.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter as to, you're not going to, I'm not going to be down. I'm going to
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
And I've learned that became a gift. And
Yeah.
God uses my fighting
Yeah.
for something
Yeah.
for his good. And a lot of what I accomplished is, I think back on it now, and I am very humbled because I didn't, in some ways, realize how much God kept a lot of it from me. So I never got, like, oh, wow, I'm just doing so
Yeah.
great. That's what kept me striving, always feeling I could do a little bit better. I could do a little bit better. I could do a little bit better.
Mhm.
I still think I can do a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But that's not a bad thing.
no,
That's not no, that's not a bad thing because you always feel like there's still more in you, so that's pushing yourself a little more. I do the
I'm,
same thing
yeah,
because
and
because there's still feel like there's still more in me, because that's where you're still want to create some newness. It's not just the same thing all the time because there's something else, because God gives you that. And so it's nothing wrong with that push that you do to yourself. Now, if other people pushing you, that may be one thing, but because they may have misconstrued what's really your capabilities, or you're like, I don't think I can, and maybe you can or can't, don't know, but you know what's in you. You know that you can also, I can do more, I can give more. Um, I'm not done yet. This is just the beginning, but it's not my end. Because I'm always adding something else and something else and something else. Um, but that's a good thing though, because you're always contributing something else. That's not a bad thing. It really is. It's a good thing.
And that's why I like what you're doing, because, we only have so much time, but there's a journey,
Mhm.
to all these ups and downs. And when there was a down, you know, there's really a lot to learn from it, getting back up, Um, I remember I was leaning on God so much. And there used to be this song, I think, I don't know, her name is Maurette Clark, but I'm
Mhm.
not sure if that's correct. But I just know she was saying, and the harder it gets, the more I pray. And the hotter it gets, the more I pray. That used
Yeah,
to be a theme song
yeah,
because
yeah.
just keep praying. And one day, someone actually ended up being a competitor, wrote not a nice review that said they had came into my cafe, which was called at the time Tea Fields.
Okay.
Um, they got a sandwich and the cheese was molded. And I remember going out, I know that was not true. I remember seeing that. I got so angry. I'm not gonna lie, I was angry at God.
Yeah.
I was trying to do everything God asked me to do. I was
Mhm.
leaning on him. I'm praying. I'm doing everything right. How could you let that? Why did you let that happen to me? I was so down because I was working so hard. And I would tell you that the blessings come in different ways.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
someone wrote that review. Do you know nobody ever said anything about that review? I was more upset. I would say to someone, "Did you see that review? What are you talking about? What do you?"
Yeah.
God closed that review off from eyes. It
Wow.
wasn't a review. It
Yeah.
was the blessing came another way, what he does. And
Yeah.
so all the journey of what we do is a learning experience. And I
Yeah.
learned that just because I have the disappointment, you've got to look and see what God is doing in your life.
Absolutely. Hmm. That's so true. Because you don't know. I always say God knows the end to the beginning. You only see what's in front of you. He already knows the end. So, but you've already judged the end by the beginning. That's just the beginning. You trust him because he knows. He knows the end. I thank you, Erica. I appreciate that. A lot of good information shared that people can take in just everyday life. But I do want to leave the listeners with this, and that is, first of all, it's not too late at any age. I don't care what
Yes,
that is, to still step out on faith to do something that God has said do, to even still be in your purpose and your passion. Um, there's no such thing as too late unless you make it too late. But the other thing is, if you want to step out in a business or to be an entrepreneur or that industry, Erica is here, who's lived the life. She's had those ups and downs, those highs and lows that she can shield you from, teach you from staying away from, guide you another direction. And if you someone who may want to reach out to her, um, then we'll have the email and everything. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but we're gonna have it posted as well. And that is being EFERGUSON, which is E Ferguson Coach, COACH 1 at gmail.com. And you can tell just by listening to her, her heart is in it. It's more than just it's just something to do, or it's something I know. But no, she really want to see people exceed. And I think that's because you can tell your heart is in it. Even when you speak though, Erica, you can just tell. You really want to help people to
absolutely.
to eliminate a lot of those mistakes you had to make. And let me show you a better way to do something, or the best way to do something. Because everybody's on a journey. If you're living and breathing, it's a journey. And so part of that journey, a lot of time God is saying, step out by faith. Step out with faith and just trust me. I mean, here I am. Stepping out on faith. Didn't know nothing. But what he did was send me people who did know. And they coached me and they helped me and they guided me in. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am, even doing what I'm doing, because I had to have someone like you who knew, because I didn't know. And so, but don't be afraid to step out, because God is a big God, and what he has for you really is for you. Just know that. Any last word, Erica?
Yes, I usually, because I know that people are apprehensive about coaching,
Mhm.
or again, this they want help, but they don't know how, or they're like, I don't know if this is for me. So I usually offer a 45-minute coaching session free,
Okay,
that's pro bono,
beautiful.
and we do a coaching session for you to find out if this is possible for you. Is it a match? Not everything, am I right for you? Are you right for me? We have to see if coaching is really what you need, or
Mm.
can you benefit from it. So I know that Charlie will give you my email.
Yes.
Tell me that you're interested in a coaching session, and I'll follow up with you through email, or I'll text you. And also, if you own a business, but you're looking to help improve your sales, I have over 30 years sales experience on my own as well as in a business. So I can help look at where you are in your business and see how we can improve your productivity, or improve your the amount of your sales in order to make your business more effective. So I look forward to it. I want to thank you, Charlotte, for this
Oh,
opportunity.
thank you,
It's
Erica.
been
You've been a
fun.
blessing.
Enjoyed it.
You've been a blessing, truly. You've been a blessing. And I want to say to all the listeners, thank you for tuning in to Share It with Charlotte. And the website is www.sharewithcharlotte.com. You can find me on YouTube. And also, if you have a story, if you have, again, something that God gave you that you feel you compelled to share, please share it with Charlotte, because there are people who really could be blessed from your story, your trials, your testimonial. Because what God give you, just know it's never just for you. What he gives you is also so you can be a blessing. So I thank you. And we will go ahead, and Eric, again, thank you for taking time out to be a part of Share It with Charlotte. Appreciate you.